Self-transformation. Life is a self-transformation process. My job is to transform myself. The first time we try cooking a particular dish, someone gives us a recipe, it doesn't come out quite right. But we can see that there is potential. It just needs to be tweaked a bit. Maybe a bit change of the temperature or change of quantity of spices or quality of spices or the time when you put something. Just because we cook something the first time, we cannot and should not expect it to come out just perfect. We have things in us that people complain about. Whether you're not doing enough or you're doing too much. There was a hermitage. Every day a monk was assigned to buy groceries across the river. At one time, a very gentle monk returned from doing the daily chores. At the end of the day, the head monk would host a meeting to go over the events of the day. And this monk, who had returned from doing the groceries, had his head hung in shame. And the head monk inquired about the cause. And this rather shy monk sheepishly shared that there were some civilians who were making fun of him and the hermitage, complaining to him that why should he be a beggar or a mendicant? Instead, he should be earning money. The head monk chastised this docile monk and told him, how dare you kept quiet and not defend the hermitage, your teacher, and your fellow brothers. The next day, another monk was sent, and he was well built. At the end of the day, when inquired, the second monk very excitedly shared that, yes, I encountered a bunch of civilians when I was crossing the river. And when those civilians were making fun of us, he gave them a couple of slaps and threw them in the river. The head monk chastised the second monk and told him, is that what I have taught you? Are these the principles you're supposed to be living by? There was this third monk who was rather confused, and he inquired that why did the head monk tell the first monk to defend the hermitage? And he chastised the second monk, who defended the hermitage, that he was not following the teachings of the institute. The head monk replied that the first monk was rather docile, a rather weakling, and he needed to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more assertive. Whereas the second monk was a little bit too aggressive, and he needed to become a little bit docile and gentle and kind. So the lesson being that there is no one size fits all. There are so many messages and teachings and inspirational talks. All of us watch as if it's the panacea for our afflictions. But the truth is that each one of us need a little bit of tweaking. Some of us don't know how to defend ourselves, whereas some of us tend to be too aggressive at times with some people in our lives. So self-transformation is not about getting rid of something in most cases, but rather transforming our qualities which are more profound, which are out of line, overgrown, overused, and to support, raise, improve, practice more of those qualities that we are weak in, that we don't practice enough. So going back to that cooking example, someone gives us a recipe. In this case, this is spiritual advice going on from this guru or that guru. And we all try to take it as if all of us must practice those teachings as is, when it is not true. If all of us were given a recipe and each one of us followed the recipes exactly, the result of that recipe, the final product, would taste slightly different and in some cases dramatically different. We all need a bit of tweaking, a little bit more of the spice and lowering of the flame or raising of the flame. If I need a little bit of tweaking. And the idea is self-transformation. Only I can transform myself. No one else can transform me, and I cannot transform anyone else. Transformation, not destruction. Some people are rather too angry. The idea is not to get rid of the anger entirely, but that aggression has to be tamed to the point when it is okay. The idea is not to get rid of the spices entirely. Get rid of the chili, because the last time I had that recipe, it was too spicy, too hot. The idea is to put a little bit less chili, just a little bit more of something and a little bit less of something. It's a balancing act. Transformation, change. We need to bring some change, dial up something and dial down something else. What should you dial up and what should you dial down? I cannot tell you, but you know. Can I make one small step in that direction of dialing up something and dialing down something? When I'm working on myself, that is the highest form of self-love.